You're listening to Up the Turnpike with hosts Mitch Anderson and Matt O'Leary.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Up the Turnpike for your post-game Islanders chat. The Islanders down the New York Rangers 5-2 in their final preseason game, and it felt good. Oh, it felt good. Not only just because they won, because that is obviously awesome, but because they did it in such a convincing way. I know when you see 5-2, and yeah, like Vegeta says, me happy. When you see 5-2, you're not like, oh, it was super dominant. It was. The two goals they scored were the fluky goals that will ever grace this great earth. The Johnny Brodzinski one flies up into the air and behind Semyon Varlamov. And anyways, we'll break down the goals in a second. I'm trying to react initially and feeling outstanding. And did we just win the Stanley Cup? It kind of feels like it. I know we didn't, but like it feels really, really good to be that hashtag dominant today against the Rangers. And Horvat does something along those lines. That's for gosh darn sure. So let's try to break this down a little bit more succinctly, a little bit more concretely, with like some structure to it instead of just me like throwing up excitement over everyone. Anyways, break it down a little bit here. The Islanders win 5-2 against the New York Rangers in their own barn, in our own barn, I should say, at UBS, and it felt freaking good. I understand that the Rangers get on the board with the first two goals. Johnny Brodzinski scores, make it open at 1-0. After we had dominated, we were all in the range. I know on our Discord, hashtag Up the Turnpike, join us on Patreon if you want. It's $5 a month. You get podcasts twice a week, Discord channel, so on and so forth. It's a ton of stuff. I was telling them there that the Islanders were playing so well. And it was just one-way traffic. It felt like we were dominating. And then, of course, Brodzinski scores, and I look like an idiot. And Array, yes, we do. We won't be around for every single game, specifically the ones that start at like 10:30 at night in like Edmonton or something like that. But just about every game, we're going to be here, Matt and I. Even when I'm playing hockey on Thursdays, Matt will take over. When Matt's got his Jets stuff on Tuesdays, I take over. And in between, we'll both be there. So, yeah, pretty regular stuff here on the channel for post-game content for these New York Islanders. Yeah, Vegeta. Oh, yeah. Anyways, yeah, Brodzinski, I think it even comes off of him. It pops up into like the stratosphere, comes back down, and Varley does what every goalie does. I would do the same thing when I'm in net, and you just kind of stare ahead because you're looking, okay, well, where are the other guys going? Because maybe I'm not hearing things, maybe I'm not seeing things properly. And so he's just kind of standing forward. And because of that, as a goalie, you don't stand straight. You stand hunched forward at the ready, and then it bops off the back of him and in the net. There's nothing you could have done about that. Absolutely nothing. Like maybe like someone spots and he tells Varley, hey, it's up above you. Maybe. But whatever. Bad bounces are going to happen. And they continue to happen, of course. Not only do the Rangers score the opening goal off of Johnny Brodzinski, but they score the next one on Adam Fox. That like good shot by Adam Fox for sure. But he throws it onto the net and it bounces off of like 45 people in front of Semyon Varlamov and it goes in. Again, fluke, absolute fluke. It shouldn't matter just as much as the Jets don't matter, right? That goal shouldn't matter. The fact that they're up 2-0 should not matter whatsoever. But it does, obviously, because you look at the score sheet and you're going, we're playing so well and we're still losing. How can we not have nice things, right? But we keep playing, and eventually we get a power play. And I know usually we're going, well, just decline the penalty. Just decline the penalty is usually the discourse when it comes to New York Islanders. They're continuously going to catch strays, Ray. Continuously, all the time. Even when Matt is here. Please, especially when Matt is here. We get on the power play, and again, we usually say decline it. We don't want it because we suck on the power play. But we look really good on the power play. I said it again in our Discord amongst the patrons going, I worry that this isn't going to be the power play that we'll see come the regular season. But what I'm seeing on this power play, and I'm not the only one obviously seeing this, is you're getting clear and crisp puck movement, fast moving pucks. We're getting just, what's the word I kept using during the previous years? I forget the way. Poise and purpose. That's how I was saying. There was poise and there was purpose into what the Islanders were doing on the power play. Instead of someone getting it and just going like, oh, now what? And everyone is just kind of waiting for that person to make a decision. Now, the Islanders seem to know where they're supposed to go. And regardless of who's got it, they're going where they're supposed to go. And it opens up all these lanes. Plus, they're shooting. Oh my God, they're shooting the puck on the power play. Whether it actually hits the net or not, you create that shot, you throw that shot towards the net, and it's going to create some sort of attention. Defenders have to go to the puck because now it's a 50-50. They've got to acclaim it. Well, now you've opened up a shooting lane, or you've opened up a passing lane, or you've opened up a soft pocket. You've opened something up that wasn't previously there. It's a win. And of course, within like a minute, Bo Horvat scores his first goal of the preseason. More to come on that. On the power play, just alone in the slot. Like Mika Zibanejad just doesn't cover him enough. Matthew Barzal with an excellent pass, and it's in. And of course, Max Siplikov with, the chicken wings teapot move, and it goes in, and you're going, yes, the power play is working. Also, you feel vindicated because not only did we score on the power play, but we scored. We're now only down 2-1 after dominating that period. When you look at the shot differential, 18-6 in favor of the New York Islanders. That's huge. We were tripling them up in terms of shots. It was insane. And yes, Vegeta, Sippy was great tonight. I do love that nickname. Sippy is a great nickname. It's so good. And I want to look at the underlying numbers for that first period there. Where's the game? Where was I going? Right here. Because I think the underlying numbers are going to be even better. At 5-on-5, the Islanders had 62% rounded up possession, had expected goals, 82% of the expected goals. Of course, we didn't score, that many. We didn't score the 1.18 expected goals at 5-on-5, but we dominated them at 5-on-5. It wasn't even funny in that first period. And then Ray asks, you think Itzhakov would have made the team if he were still here? I don't think so. I don't. I'm not saying that he couldn't because his skill set isn't good. I just think that they're looking for a heavier, more physical player. Just look at the kind of guys at Lou Lamoriello in terms of just their basics information, like the size, the kind of guys that he's been adding, right? Like Pierre Engvall, Maxim Tsiplikov. They're pretty big guys. Obviously, Anthony Duclair is not what you would call a big guy, although I'm sure he's big for just a general person, but not for an NHLer. But he's got different skill sets that accommodate that top line, whereas Rushnikov wouldn't be pushing in a top line situation at all ever. So I don't think he would have made, as you say, Charles, this team right away. But like he might have. It might have been close. It might have been close, especially if they're like really keen on having Oliver Wahlstrom on that fourth line, which I don't know if that experiment worked too well, but anyways, so we end the first, we've only gone over the first period and we're 8 minutes in. We've only gone through the first. The Islanders are down 2-1, but dominated, right? They dominated in shots. They dominated the Corsi for expected goals at 5-on-5, even though they didn't score at 5-on-5. It was one-way traffic, and it continued in the second period. So we got Orkaban or Bakun. Sorry, I massacred that. Just like the top line massacred the Rangers. But yes, 4 goals from the top line was crazy. That's what we expect from our top line. Maybe not every night, but on some nights. You want your top line to be top line. You want your top line to be elite. And they very much were that tonight, especially with those 4 goals. So absolutely. Orbakan, there we go. Orbakan, whatever. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. To Jeremy says, didn't catch the game tonight, just the highlights. Would you say anyone played themselves onto or off the team tonight? I don't think anyone played themselves on, as in the people who were up for a roster spot, like Wahlstrom, like even probably Pierre Engvall. I don't think they played themselves onto the team. Did they play themselves off of it? I don't think Pierre Engvall did. I think Pierre Engvall was fine. And Wallstrom was okay. Although Vegeta says he was bad. We're going to go off script here, and that's totally fine. We're going to do this. We're going to look at the numbers here. Like, where is Engvall? Engvall has obviously no points, has 2 shots on net, a block, a hit, a giveaway. And we don't see the time on ice, but I can find that in a second here. Whereas Wallstrom in Engvall had 16 minutes of ice time. Oof, that's way too much. He did not earn 16 minutes of ice time. He only played that much because Kyle Palmieri wasn't there. It's the only reason. Anyways, back to what Jeremy was saying. For Oliver Wallstrom, played just about 12 minutes, was a -1. I don't necessarily care about minuses and pluses, but whatever. 3 shots on net, a hit, and a takeaway. No giveaways, which is nice. I thought Oliver Wallstrom was doing Oliver Wallstrom things. He did what he was supposed to do for his skill set. I don't know if he did enough in terms of a 4th-line grinder. He had a really golden opportunity for himself and didn't score. He probably should have scored at one point. The fact that he didn't was disappointing. The backlog of comments. I'm going to keep on going. Thank you, Jeremy. More to Jeremy. Top line looks like they have their chemistry going. There was some of that even between like Duclair and Barzal. It was great. That's going a pretty good line and should free up some attention for the Nelson line, ideally. I think if you put Palmieri on the wing instead of Engvall today, that second line probably generates a goal. Okay, so platypus soup, not a great soup. Does that all come from the talent on their back heel? Is that the broth? Anyways, Wally was disappointing. Grant was I totally forgot Grant Hutton played. I totally forgot he played, which is probably not a bad thing. And Barzal and Duclair played their hearts out. They were outstanding. Horvat, shout out to him as well. But Wally was fine. Again, like 3 shots on net here, as you're seeing in 12 minutes of ice time, a takeaway, and 1 hit. So like we're all good. He was fine. I don't know if a 4th line position is his best position, but he was fine. Sloppy says Engvall played exactly the same as he does every game, which is why he says lol, because that's probably not a compliment. It's no disrespect to Pierre Engvall, who's obviously a good player. He's obviously a good hockey player. It's just not fitting. Either how he is built to play in terms of what he's been told, how he's been coached leading up to this moment, isn't resonating with the way that the Islanders want to play. So there's some sort of give and take here that just isn't working out with the New York Islanders and Pierre Engvall. Maybe that can be sorted, but as it stands now, it's not looking fantastic. The fact that he still has 6 years or 5 years after this is not great cap-wise for the Islanders. It's not awful. It's only $3 million, but you'd rather not tie up $3 million if you don't have to. To Mark, that should be the end of Engvall. I don't necessarily disagree in terms of his time on the team, because again, you bring in Palmieri, then he's only playing there because Palmieri isn't. And I think he gives you more, or I think Palmieri would give you more than Engvall. Now flip that. Would Pierre Engvall give you more than Oliver Wallstrom in a 4th line situation? I think he might. I definitely think he might. I don't think that's questionable. But yeah. And then, okay, I'm going to go through the comments. If I don't happen to get to the game, that's totally fine. Let's just go through the comments. This is more about what you guys think. I'm trying to give you guys a platform and me answering it than just like, I have to spout my nonsense. Let's hear from you. Jeremy says, do you think Hutton is a 7th defenseman in the press box and Budzik gets more ice time down in Bridgeport? I like this. Budzik would have to go through waivers. I'm not sure he'd get claimed, and I'm also not sure that if he does, it's such a bad thing. I do think that Hutton might be the 7th D-man. I really do. Patrick Roy has said some things about Samuel Bolduc, mainly like he's just not bringing it every day, which is criticism he's faced since juniors. I remember speaking to his junior coach and saying, Samuel Bolduc is un athlète. In French, is like, he's just such an athlete, like such a physical specimen. He's so good physically. His only issue is that he doesn't bring it every day. He doesn't bring it every day. And if he did, oh my God, sky's the limit for this kid. Not like elite level hockey player, but everyday NHLer for sure. And the fact that we haven't been able to unlock that yet, or he hasn't been able to unlock that yet, is disappointing. And that's probably what makes Grant Hutton the 7th D-man. Also, the fact that he's like the only other righty. I think we have 2 righties in the organization outside of the ones that are on full-time NHL contracts. This is Grant Hunt and Aiden Fulp, the only other righties. Makes a big difference. All right. Would you rather have Engvall or Foudy? Oh, and yes, I'm pronouncing it Foudy and not Foodie. I can't do it. Okay. I think I'd rather have Engvall. I think I trust Engvall more than I trust Foudy. But I'll add a big like asterisk on that one. I haven't seen enough of Foudy. I just haven't. We've seen a couple of games with him, and I liked what I saw. I know what I'm going to get and not get from Pierre Engvall, whereas I don't think I know that yet with Foudy. And then Ray says Foudy seems to have a higher ceiling than Engvall. So I think, Jeremy, if you would ask that question to Ray, he would say he'd rather have Foudy. So I'll push that to the chat. I wish I could do like live. Can I do that live? Anyways, we won't do that now. I'll figure it out later. I want to see what you all think. Would you keep Engvall over Foudy? So I'm posing the question to you, those listening at home. Would you rather have Foudy or Engvall? So I'll let you. We'll go through this through the show. Never liked Engvall, honestly. Fair enough. And then, how do you feel about Horvat getting the A? I friggin' love it. There's nothing to dislike about Tim getting the A. He's the captain in waiting. There is no question of that. We all knew that last year. He is the captain in waiting. There's no question. So having an A is the least he can do. All right, Jeremy. I think Foudy's floor is higher than Engvall's floor. Fair enough. Engvall's poor game is not good. I can't imagine Foudy is that bad from what I've seen. He has too much heart, reminds me of Cizikas. Fair. I just think that we have too many. We're starting to get too many Cizikases. And while having guys with a lot of heart is great, too much heart and not enough skill, which Pierre Engvall has on his day. We need that. We need Pierre Engvall to be at his best ASAP. And if not, we need to find a way to get out of that also ASAP. Maybe if we put him on waivers, Columbus takes him so they can hit the floor. Maybe. Riley wasn't bad either tonight. Yep. Wally is a wrongy. Okay, fair enough. Engvall's got to step up his game. Absolutely. Give Foudy a chance. Just as much as we want to give Love a chance, give Foudy a chance. I'm totally fine with that. If we start the year, whereas we don't have Foudy, we don't have Engvall, or he's a healthy scratch, and we put Foudy in, that's totally fine with me. Again, it comes back to like the devil that you know instead of the devil you don't. I don't entirely know Foudy, so I'm not entirely comfortable with starting the year off that way. And I know what I can and can't get out of Engvall. Mark B says, Patty gave Engvall lots of time to see what he's got. He's got nothing. Patty did give him a lot of time. I will agree with you on that, Mark. He gave him a lot of time, and he hasn't really proven that he deserves it just yet. But okay, Vidita says Foudy, and I'm going to pause on the comments just a bit to go back to the game just for a second, because we're going to go through the game here the entire way. So we're going into the second period. Ironos leads 18-6 in terms of shots. So everything's great. And then they go through the second period much the same way. Lead shots 11-14. The underlying numbers look even better. If you thought the first period underlying numbers 5-on-5 were good, just wait till you see the second period. 75% Corsi for 27-9. High danger chance 100%, which is the same as the first, but we had 6 high danger chances. And then 90% of expected goals. We should have scored 1.5 goals at 5-on-5. We only scored the one from Bo Horvat. The Islanders were hashtag dominant through the first 40 minutes. It wasn't even funny. And it's not like this is a weak Rangers squad, right? Like this isn't them icing a bunch of AHLers. Just look at the names. This is their full NHL squad minus Artemi Panarin, who's injured. That's their full NHL squad. And we danced around them. If not for Shesterkin, this game is even worse than it looks. Shesterkin was fantastic today. Absolutely phenomenal. And he still let 5 go through him. Think about that. He was fantastic. We played the Rangers out of the building in the first 40 minutes, and we only managed to go ahead by 1. So Bo Horvat, much the same way that he scored the first goal, a bit fortuitous because, Shesterkin was out of the net, but that's just, contact that we couldn't get away from. And then we have Maxim Tsiplikov doing just elite stuff. I want to take a moment on Tsiplikov, just one moment. because I said this in the previous post game, and I've said it on the show as well. Hashtag to everyone tuning in. Check out our podcast. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/uptheturnpike. Join in, get the podcast twice a week, get the dedicated Discord channel where we just talk about Islanders all day, every day, all the time. And we crap on Spiz a lot. If you're not part of the Discord, you'll get to know Spiz. But I'd routinely said through the offseason, let's pump the brakes on Siplikov because people were throwing him into the second line right away without having seen his game. They saw the number of points he scored in the KHL, and they saw the number of hits and saw how big he was. And like, yes, second line winger, here we go. I very much said pump the brakes. I was concerned with his skating, and I was concerned that jumping into the NHL, there would be some sort of cliff to climb. And I don't know how quickly he could climb that cliff. It really seems like Maxim Siplikov is climbing that cliff. It's hard for me to say, really friggin' fast. He's going to start the year probably on the second line, not because the Islanders threw him there from the get-go. It's they threw him there they threw him on the fourth line, and he worked his way up. He earned this spot. So I've been really, really impressed with Maxim Siplikov. He's been much better than I anticipated. And I'm still glad I managed my expectations, and I hope I helped managers as well. But I'm really liking what Maxim Siplikov is doing. He is growing on me daily. This is an incredible move from the Islanders. They gave a guy who was looking to move over a chance, and he's repaying that faith. Out friggin' standing. The goal he scored, I don't think he meant it, but that's hockey. Hockey's a random event. If you do good things happen, and he is doing good things, and good things happen. And here you go. The Islanders are now up 3-2 because of Maxim Siplikov. So let's go back to the comments here. Here we go. Jeremy says, I take Foudy, especially considering the $2+ million cap advantage. Fair. We still lose out on the cap, right? If you send Engvall to waivers, to the AHL, you only get 1.125 million back, assuming no one claims him, which maybe Columbus does. If they do, then massive win. Matt C says, I don't think Engvall or Foudy or Fasching matter in the team's success. They're all fourth line plug players at this point. Rather Foudy for the smaller cap hit. Like, I'm not going to disagree with these statements because this is super reasonable. There's nothing unreasonable with what you just said. I think the only problem for me, and again, I'm really making it clear that this is all me. I'd rather dance with the devil I know than the devil I don't, and I don't necessarily know Foudy yet. So that's a me thing. That's a me thing for sure. If you're comfortable with him, I want to be in your shoes. I definitely do. Dr. Anthony Foudy. Yep. Yeah, Igor is definitely OP. He's so good. He's just such a good goalie. It's not even funny. I can't imagine that they're not going to want to pay him. I get it of his age, but like you just have to reward. Like you have to bite the bullet. You played so well with us. You've earned the money. Panarin Bread. Yeah. Okay. So Terrence says, it's good to see that we're keeping our foot on the gas instead of going into shill that never works. Thank you so much, Terrence. I love this comment so much. And I'm sure the sentiment is shared by just about everyone listening, including Terrence and myself. There are so many times that the Islanders went ahead and just fell back. We're going to defend, and we're going to make them make a mistake. Except they didn't. The teams just didn't. We made the mistakes. We put all the pressure on ourselves, and we cracked. Why? You're doing a good thing. Just keep going. Don't stop. What are you managing legs for? Just keep friggin' going. And they did that today. And look, they win 5-2 and completely dominated. It's not. If there's a Rangers fan on here, I'd like to hear your version of events that said that they didn't dominate today. Jeremy says, could Siplikov fit with Horvat and Barzal, then have Duclair with Nelson and Palmieri? I think there's a possibility there. Remember Barry Trotz always tried to throw like the bull in the china shop. So Nikolai Kulemin ended up on the, not Nikolai Kulemin, Leo Komarov, ended up on the top line for a while when Anders Lee was injured. He wants this power forward up there with these dynamic players. Now I understand we don't have Barry Trotz anymore as a head coach. We have Patrick Roy. But I think in certain situations, perhaps he might do that. I'm not ready to go there yet. I think let's just keep the top line, and let them work on their dynamics, work on their chemistry, and then go from there. I think Siplikov could work just as well on the second line. We've seen that work between Brock Nelson and Anders Lee before. So I say just let that top 6 gel. That's what I want to do. But maybe under the context, and if an injury happens, yeah, I can definitely see that happen. Richard says Foudy over Engvall. Engvall has shown me anything, has shown me anything since he's been here, has not shown me anything since he's been here. That's fair. I forgot how unproductive he was last year. They during the game today, they kind of flashed the banner at the bottom of the screen. 72 games, was it? 72, 71 games, 10 goals, 18 assists for 28 points. And you're like, I understand he's only making $3 million, but you expect more than sub 30 points from a guy on a $3 million contract for another 5 years after this. And then can we put rocket boosters on Siplikov skates? That might render him less effective. That makes it sound like he's not effective. That would render him ineffective. I think he's not a fast skater. He's not crazy slow either. But that extra boost might just take him out of his game, out of his element entirely. Can we put those on my skates? Because I could definitely use them. I'm a slow skater for sure. Sloppy says Siplikov is the real deal. Great hockey IQ and physical play. I don't want to jump all in just yet, but I really do like what I see. And again, I am not the consensus here. I'm clear. I'm really trying to make it clear that this is personal. For me, I'm not totally sold on he's a revelation and he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but he's worked his way into the top 6. Unfortunately for us, he's done that because we don't have anyone better. That's really our problem. He shouldn't have to be able to jump that high already. That's because we don't have the depth ahead of time, but he's done it. So we can't fault him for doing that. Obviously, good job by him. He's earned the spot on the top 6. But I want to be in a position where I'm praising him constantly all day, every day. No, he'd be too strong with the boosters going back to, he would be unstoppable. Can't have that. He'd just be too strong. Terrence, I don't know what you guys are saying. He purposely slowing down his play, looking for good options. He is, right? Thomas Hickey kind of mentioned that. Was it after the second period? There was a zone entry where he was going to go balls to the wall all the way through, but he realized, I'm going into a 1-on-3 situation here. What do I hope to achieve? I'm going to get to about the face-off dot on the wall. They're going to pin me to the wall, and I'm going to try to make a dumb play along the boards, and it's just not going to go anywhere. Why? When I could wait, just turn a little bit. Pull a who is the receiver in the NFL who turned before the end zone and then went in? He did that, but he did that to allow his teammates to catch up to him and open up the play a little bit more. So had he had those rocket boosters on, couldn't have made that play. All right. Third period. So we're not even done talking about the game here. Third period happens and we just keep going. Obviously the shots are a little bit less, 5-6, but it got a lot chippier out there. I don't know. Yeah, the penalties are here. You can see there's 2 penalties here in the third period. That kind of breaks things up. Maybe the Islanders weren't playing with fire, but I think the Rangers were doing a better job defensively in just kind of covering shooting lanes and passing lanes. And then they were trying to get their momentum going as well. They were trying to get themselves back in the game, and it just was not happening, obviously. So the shot count is going to look low. We still end the game with 38 shots, which is sustainable through, let's say, 3/4 of the season. I don't think we're going to average 38 shots a night through the regular season. But I think we end up somewhere in the high 30s, which is not what we had last year, if I'm not mistaken. Let's just go to the NHL here to see what they say as of last year, please. And thank you. Regular season, previous year, shots per game. The New York Islanders were 19th with 30.1 shots per game. That's going to go up this year under Patrick Roy for sure. We'll probably end up, I'm going to say somewhere around the top 10, which is only 31.7. I think we can do it. Anyways, we keep going. Matthew Barzal gets what is it? The breakaway goal broken up by Anthony Duclair. Excellent play off the puck from him. And then Anthony Duclair gets his blasted by Igor Shesterkin. Then it's in. We kept up the momentum. We didn't maybe get the shots. We were maybe getting a little choosier with our shots. But But when you look at the underlying numbers, it's much of the same, maybe a little bit less, but still what you would consider dominant for a regular game. 61.7 rounded up to 62% Corsi 4. High danger, 83%. That's down from the 100 in the first two periods. And then 65% expected goals for. This is all 5-on-5. We're not even talking about power play here. The Islanders were dominant at 5-on-5. It wasn't even funny. More of that, please, 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 please. All right, more questions here or comments. Jeremy says, Goetze, Wallstrom, Martin, Foudy. Oh, I forgot Martin is still around. I love Martin as a person. He cannot be on this hockey team. He can, at best, wait to the trade deadline and then give him a contract. That's the earliest I want to see him have a contract. Earliest. It's not to say that that's it. I'm going to leave it at that. Fashing, Holmstrom, Karlstrom, battling for a couple of spots, plus one of two more for 13th and 14th forwards. Who would you keep / send down? I would probably keep in that bunch Holmstrom and Gauthier. And the rest I would either not sign or send down. I think Karlstrom is already sent down. Fashing is injured, so we're not seeing him. And yeah, the other ones. I would probably keep Gauthier and Holmstrom. Holmstrom's an everyday player for me. Definitely a bottom six everyday player. Gauthier can probably get in. So yeah, those are the two that I keep. Taryn says, this is a different team, and it's obvious. Roy has them playing, not afraid to make mistakes, but always willing to make up for them. It is really, they're not a scourge, right? Strategically, right? Like it seemed that under Lane Lambert, there's this kind of conservative approach to the game. Like we're worried that if we make a mistake, that we may not be in position to recover. But under Patrick Roy, we're going to make mistakes because that's hockey. It's a random sport. It's so random. You're actually running on what are effectively knives on your feet and trying to get a frozen piece of galvanized rubber that's about like this big, maybe that big, through a goalie who's the balloon. This, how we do this and score 7 goals in a game is insane to me. It's insane. So you're going to make mistakes. It's such a random sport. You're going to make mistakes. It's to learn what to do when you make a mistake and then recover, as Terrence is saying here. Completely different team, night and day, and it's outstanding. Jeremy says, thanks for the commentary and discussion, Mitch. Have a good night. Good night, Jeremy. It's always good to beat the Rangers, even in exhibition games. It really is. It really is. It was their Stanley Cup the last time. This time it's ours. Ray says, I'm going to start a political group in upstate New York called the Hudson Fascists. Please don't. Please don't. Hearing you pronounce Patrick Roy is like hockey ASMR. Come here for the French. Just come here for the French all day, every day. Patrick Roy is such a godsend to me as a French Canadian. It's outstanding. Anyways, back to the game. Let's go to the box score, the team box score that is. So again, we see the shots on goal 38-22 for the New York Islanders. Face-offs 54.5% in our favor. Power play, look at that. Look at this. The special teams were so goddamn good today. 50% on the power play, 100% on the penalty kill. Oh my God. This is a wet dream right there. That can't be real. 150% special teams in this economy, not possible. Penalty minutes, 4 to 8. Excellent stuff. Pretty well disciplined for us. The one Dobson penalty was weak AF. Should not have been a penalty, but it's going to happen. Hits 22-21, not too bad. Specifically considering we didn't have most of the puck, right? Remember, in terms of 5-on-5, we had the puck 66% of the time. 2/3 of the time we had the puck on our stick. So to out-hit them is pretty good. We're skating, we're shooting, and we're hitting. We're doing everything. Everything. Giveaways, way too high. This is clearly preseason with 22 giveaways. That's way too friggin' many. I like single digits. Definitely not in the 20s. That's way too friggin' high. And then takeaways, 3 for us, 1 for them. Absolutely love it. I want to go a little bit deeper here and look at the event summary where I can see who's doing the giveaways a little bit more. I know I could have seen it earlier, but I like looking at it this way. Giveaways, 3 for Adam Pelech, who are supposed to be better defensively. And that's basically it. Just about everyone has a giveaway here. Holmstrom doesn't. Matthew Barzal doesn't, which is impressive. Oliver Wahlstrom does not, but he played 12 minutes. And then that's Oliver Wahlstrom again. Where am I? And then the last one, Romanov and Jean-Gabriel Pajot were the only ones who didn't have a giveaway today. So good job by them. Vegeta is here for the mustache. Thank you. Thank you. I tried to take care of it all day. It's never going to get into like the loopy business. It's just a nice, full, regular sized mustache. And then without Clutter and Martin, our hits are going to definitely be lower this year. Yeah, for sure. But I'll take less hits if it means we're getting more shots and more possession. I'll take it. That's a clear, massive win for me and this team. So that's your post-game show, unless you have more comments. Islanders win 5-2 to end the preseason. Oh, a Clutter stash. My wife will never let me go full. No, that's never going to happen. I think that divorce papers are filed the very next day. This is about as much as I can get away with. That's about as much. Islanders win 5-2, close out the preseason. Still got another, 4 days, not even 6 days before we play our first game against the Utah Hockey Club, which sounds like a team out of Europe. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure you are too. Thank you everyone for tuning in. More of these during the regular season, just about every game, with me and Matt, just not just me. I can't talk clearly, so it's time for me to get off the microphone. Thank you for tuning in. Peace to the Islanders fans. Peace to everywhere. Thank you. Subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you later.